Hello everybody and welcome back to The Lost Planeswalker. You're here with me, Jesse, The Lost Planeswalker. Today we're going to talk about Tap and Untap, one of Magic the Gathering's most basic Evergreen keyword actions. Tap and Untap have very powerful game applications that can completely stun your opponents. You can tap any number of cards in your deck to get some kind of benefit. Lands, creatures, and artifacts can all tap for mana in addition to their other abilities to help benefit your board state. Let's talk about the basic rules for tap and untap and look into some of those cards. According to Rule 701.21, 701.21a, to tap a permanent, it turns sideways from an upright position. Only untapped permanents can be tapped. 701.21b, to tap a permanent, rotate it back to the upright position from a sideways position. Only tapped permanents can be untapped. In addition, creatures that just entered the battlefield, which have summoning sickness, cannot be tapped or untapped. Cards that give creatures haste, like Fever, can make it so your creatures can tap or untap the same turn they entered. Now, let's look at some cool untapped cards. We're going to start out with some really cool artifacts that have some cool untapped synergies. Amulet of Vigor, Clock of Omens, and Unwinding Clock all allow you to untap artifacts or other cards. Amulet of Vigor is an amazing one-drop artifact because it allows you to play all the cards that aren't good because they enter the tapped and untap them instead. This is an expensive artifact and it makes good sense why. Voltaic Key, Voltaic Construct, and Tezzeret the Seeker also allow you to untap artifacts of your choice, allowing you to get all the repeated value off your artifacts. Next, we have some high power artifacts that can be paired with a couple different cards to create infinite mana. Mana Vault, Basalt Monolith, and Grim Monolith can tap for a large amount of colorless mana, but make you pay to untap them. If you pair these cards with Power Artifact, you may be able to create infinite mana. Power Artifact makes the untap ability of equipped cards to be 2 less, making Basalt Monolith and Grim Monolith create net positive mana. You'll be creating infinite mana in no time. I would also like to go over one of my favorite combos that can end the game very quickly. Metalworker is a really old and expensive card that generates colorless mana for every artifact you reveal from your hand. If you pair it with Umbra Mantle or Sword of the Parns, you can untap Metalworker and repeat this process. This combo works best if you can get away with playing Metalworker and then on your next turn, putting the equipment onto the battlefield and equipping him. Your opponents won't see this coming, and you can win the game just like that. Continuing on with untapping your permanents, Pemin's Aura, Free to the Real, and Intruder Alarm all untap creatures if the condition is met. Pemin's Aura and Free to the Real has you paying blue mana to untap your creatures. If you can tap a creature for mana and get this to be net positive, then you can go infinite very quickly. Intruder Alarm is a powerful card that pairs nicely with cards that create creature tokens. Kranko Mob Boss makes goblins for each one on your battlefield. If you tap Kranko to make goblins and activate Intruder Alarm, then you can untap Kranko and repeat this process, making infinite creatures, and if they all have haste, you can swing out for the win. Every good deck has cards to play during each of your turns, and Mana Dorks help to keep you on curve and ramp on the early turns. Llanowar Elves, Arbor Elves, and Blightsoil Druid are all examples of Mana Dorks that tap for mana. There are lots to choose from, and there are many that can be worked into your deck. Another way to take advantage of untapping your creatures is for extra combats. Aggravated Assault, Combat Celebrant, and Morag, Fury of Akum, all untap your permanents for extra combats. Now let's look into some cool commanders that use the tap and untap effects. Anye Falkenrath has you tap it to discard a card and draw a card. If you discarded a Madness card, you can untap Anye. This is a really cool card ability because it has you digging through your deck and hopefully playing your Madness cards for a cheaper price. Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy doesn't allow you to untap creatures, but cards like Basalt Monolith and all those Mana Dorks that have you create mana, you can create an additional one with Kinnan. Pair those creatures with an enchantment that untaps it, now you can create infinite mana in a number of ways. Basalt Monolith paired with Kinnan alone creates an infinite colorless mana, making him a big threat. And the card I will go over further on my Commander deck video on Wednesday is Archelius, Lagoon Mystic. They have the powerful ability to control not only on your board, but on your opponent's board if their permanents enter the battlefield tapped or untapped. If you want to see me build around this deck, tune in on Wednesday for that video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please consider subscribing to my channel. I do these back to the basics videos every Monday and a Commander deck tech every Wednesday. If you like this video, please consider leaving a like and comment. That really helps me out. And as always, I'll see you later, Planeswalkers.